Listen to me with your whole heart right now, because this moment is not ordinary, and these words are not accidental. Something inside you has been stirring, pressing, knocking, refusing to stay silent. You have felt it in the quiet moments when the world slows down. And you have felt it in the loud moments when your soul feels crowded but still empty. That is because you deserve to know everything now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. God is not hiding truth from you to punish you. God is calling you higher because your season of ignorance has ended. What you do not know has limited you long enough, and heaven is demanding your attention. There are moments in life when God shakes the foundations of what you thought was stable, not to destroy you, but to awaken you. Many people live their entire lives reacting instead of understanding, surviving instead of seeing, moving without knowing why they move. But God did not create you to stumble through life blindly. God created you to walk with vision, to live with clarity, and to stand with authority. When God speaks, it is not to confuse you, but to illuminate you. When truth comes, it does not whisper timidly. It calls you boldly, because your destiny requires awareness. You have been patient, and patience has shaped you. You have endured, and endurance has strengthened you. But there comes a time when endurance without understanding becomes a burden, and patience without revelation becomes delay. God is saying to you now that you are no longer a child who must be protected from the weight of truth. You have grown, you have been tested, you have been refined, and because of that, you deserve to know everything now. The full picture, not fragments. The reason, not just the result. The purpose, not just the pain. Too many people spend their lives asking why something happened instead of asking what God is revealing. They look at loss and call it punishment, but God calls it preparation. They look at delay and call it denial, but God calls it alignment. When you do not know the heart of God, you misinterpret the hand of God. But when revelation enters your spirit, confusion loses its power. God does not withhold truth to keep you small. God reveals truth to make you strong. There are things that were hidden from you, not because you were unworthy, but because the timing was not yet complete. Truth revealed too early can crush a person who is not ready to carry it. But now something has changed. Your capacity has expanded. Your spiritual muscles have grown. Your inner strength has matured. That is why the questions you have been asking lately feel heavier, deeper, and more urgent. That is why superficial answers no longer satisfy you. God is preparing to open your eyes wider than ever before. When God gives revelation, it changes how you see yourself. You stop begging for approval and start walking in assignment. You stop fearing the future and start shaping it. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding spiritually. Truth is not comfortable, but it is powerful. It does not always make you feel safe, but it always makes you free. And freedom is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of understanding in the middle of it. Some of the battles you have been fighting are not meant to be won by effort alone, but by knowledge. The enemy of your peace has always relied on what you do not know. Fear grows in the dark. Doubt multiplies in confusion, and weakness thrives where truth is absent. That is why God is bringing light into places you avoided, questions you buried, and wounds you never fully examined. You deserve to know everything now, because ignorance can no longer coexist with your calling. You have wondered why certain doors closed, even though you prayed sincerely. You have questioned why some people walked away, even when you gave your best. You have struggled to understand why progress felt slower than expected. But God sees the whole path, not just the next step. When God closes a door, it is not rejection, it is redirection. When people leave, it is not abandonment, it is separation for purpose. When progress feels slow, it is because depth is being built, not delay imposed. God does not rush revelation, but God never misses the appointed time. What you are about to understand will not just answer your questions, it will transform your posture. You will stand differently. You will speak differently. You will pray differently. Because once you see what God sees, you cannot live the way you lived before. Knowledge creates responsibility, and responsibility awakens authority. There is a sacred urgency in this moment. God is saying that the season of partial understanding is over. You can no longer afford half-truths, borrowed beliefs, or second-hand convictions. You must know for yourself. You must see for yourself. You must hear clearly, because the assignment ahead of you requires precision. God does not reveal everything to everyone, but God reveals everything to those who are ready to carry it with humility and obedience. Do not be afraid of what you will discover. Truth does not come to shame you, it comes to strengthen you. It may confront you, but it will never condemn you. It may challenge your comfort, but it will always confirm your purpose. God's truth is not a weapon against you, it is a shield around you. And when you finally understand what God has been doing behind the scenes, gratitude will replace bitterness and confidence will replace fear. You have lived long enough asking others for permission to be who God already called you to be. You have waited for validation that was never required. You have doubted yourself because you did not yet see the full picture. But God is revealing now what was hidden then, so you can move forward without apology. When truth enters your spirit, hesitation leaves your body, you stop shrinking and you start standing. God is not interested in keeping you comfortable. God is interested in making you effective. Comfort keeps you dependent, but revelation makes you dangerous to limitation. That is why this knowledge is coming now, at a time when you are strong enough to act on it. What you are about to understand will demand courage, but you have already been trained by Diffie, Culty. You have already survived what you thought would break you. That is proof that you are ready. There is a divine alignment happening within you. Pieces that felt disconnected are coming together. Experiences that felt meaningless are gaining clarity. Pain that felt wasted is being redeemed. When God reveals everything, you begin to see how every step, even the painful ones, led you here. Nothing was random, nothing was wasted, nothing escaped the awareness of God. You deserve to know everything now, because your life is no longer just about survival, it is about impact. God is positioning you to influence others, to speak with authority, and to walk with conviction. But you cannot lead with uncertainty or inspire with confusion. You must be anchored in truth, grounded in understanding, and guided by divine clarity. As revelation increases, responsibility increases. You will be called to higher standards, deeper faith, and stronger discipline. But do not fear that weight, because God never demands without empowering. What God reveals, God sustains. What God assigns, God equips. You are not stepping into this knowledge alone. You are stepping into it with divine backing. Let your heart be open and your spirit attentive. Do not resist what God is uncovering, even if it challenges your past beliefs or comforts. Growth always requires adjustment. Transformation always requires surrender. But on the other side of surrender is authority, peace, and unshakable confidence. This is not the moment to look away. This is not the time to retreat into familiarity. God is inviting you into deeper understanding, greater clarity, and higher purpose. You have waited. You have endured. You have remained faithful even when answers were delayed. And now, the door of revelation is opening, because you deserve to know everything now. There is a moment when God shifts the atmosphere around a person, and everything that once felt normal begins to feel too small. That restlessness you feel is not dissatisfaction, it is elevation pressing against limitation. God is expanding your inner capacity so you can carry what is coming next. That is why silence has become louder to you and routine feels heavier. Your spirit knows that surface level living is no longer acceptable. God is calling you out of shallow understanding into deep awareness, because your future requires more than instinct. It requires insight. You must understand this with clarity. Truth does not arrive gently when destiny is involved. It arrives with authority. It interrupts patterns. It dismantles excuses. God reveals everything now because half knowledge produces half obedience, and half obedience produces unstable outcomes. God is not interested in a divided heart or a confused mind. When revelation comes, it demands alignment. And alignment is the birthplace of power. Many people mistake comfort for blessing, but God often removes comfort to introduce calling. When everything is easy, growth is optional. When clarity is absent, dependence increases. But God is shifting you into a season where dependence on confusion ends and partnership with understanding begins. You are not meant to drift through life hoping for favorable outcomes. You are meant to move with purpose, intention, and confidence rooted in truth. God sees how long you have wrestled internally, how many times you question yourself, and how often you silence your own discernment to keep peace with others. But peace that costs you truth is too expensive. God is teaching you that obedience to truth may disrupt relationships, but it will always preserve destiny. You are not being made aware to argue, but to act. You are not being informed to impress, but to obey. When God opens your understanding, it is not merely to answer what happened. It is to prepare you for what is about to happen. Revelation is always forward-facing. It reaches into the future and equips you in the present. That is why this knowledge carries weight. It is not information for curiosity. It is instruction for movement. God is revealing now because delay would be disobedience to what you are becoming. You have learned what pain feels like without explanation. Now God is teaching you what purpose feels like with clarity. Pain without meaning weakens the soul, but pain with revelation strengthens resolve. You will begin to see that every pressure you endured sharpened your discernment. Every disappointment refined your judgment. And every setback trained your patience. Nothing in your life was accidental. It was intentional shaping. God is not just telling you what to do. God is showing you who you are. Identity always precedes assignment. When you do not know who you are, you chase what looks valuable. But when God reveals your identity, you attract what aligns with it. You stop proving yourself and start stewarding your responsibility. You stop seeking applause and start seeking impact. This is why fear must lose its voice in your life. Fear thrives where understanding is absent. But when God speaks clearly, fear has an authority. You may still feel resistance, but resistance is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign that movement is required. Growth always faces opposition, not because it is wrong, but because it is effective. God is training your inner hearing so you can recognize truth even when it does not sound familiar. Truth often arrives disguised as discomfort. It challenges habits, exposes motives, and confronts excuses. But what it builds is far greater than what it disrupts. God is not dismantling your life. God is restructuring it for sustainability. You are entering a season where clarity will demand courage. Knowing everything now means you can no longer pretend, delay, or deny. You will see what needs to change, who needs to move, and where you must stand firm. But remember this, God never reveals without providing strength to respond. The same voice that exposes also empowers. Do not underestimate the spiritual authority that comes from understanding. When you know why you are called, you cannot be easily distracted. When you know where you are going, you cannot be easily discouraged. When you know who is guiding you, you cannot be easily shaken. God is anchoring you in truth, so storms do not determine your direction. There will be moments when this revelation separates you from old patterns, familiar comforts, and predictable paths. But separation is not lost when it leads to alignment. God often removes what you have outgrown to make room for what you are becoming. Trust the process, trust the timing, trust the truth that is unfolding within you. As knowledge increases, so must humility. Understanding is powerful, but pride corrupts it. God reveals to those who listen and not to those who assume. Keep your heart teachable even as your vision sharpens. The goal is not to know more than others, but to obey more deeply than before. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right where revelation meets readiness. God does not rush purpose, and God does not delay destiny. What is unfolding now has been prepared for a long time. The weight you feel is not pressure to perform. It is responsibility to steward what you now understand. Let this awareness settle into your spirit. Not as noise, but as direction. Let it guide your decisions, shape your words, and anchor your faith. God is not overwhelming you, God is aligning you. And alignment always precedes manifestation. There is a sacred responsibility that comes when God lifts the veil from your understanding. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you know, you cannot return to ignorance. This is not punishment, this is promotion. God does not reveal everything now to overwhelm you, but to trust you. Trust is proven through obedience, and obedience flows from clarity. When clarity enters your life, excuses lose their grip, hesitation loses its voice, and delay loses its justification. You must recognize that knowledge is not given merely to comfort the mind, but to discipline the will. God is shaping your decisions before they ever reach your hands. Many people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack discernment. God is correcting that now. You are being trained to recognize truth quickly, to sense misalignment early, and to respond with wisdom instead of emotion. There are times when God allows you to walk in uncertainty so you can develop faith beyond explanation. But there also comes a time when God replaces mystery with instruction. Mystery builds trust. Instruction builds mastery. You are moving from one season to the other. This is why everything feels more intense. This is why your discernment has sharpened and your tolerance for confusion has diminished. God is preparing you to handle matters that require precision. Do not confuse clarity with ease. Knowing everything now does not mean the path will be effortless. It means it will be intentional. God does not promise comfort, but God guarantees direction. Direction is far more valuable than ease, because ease without direction leads to emptiness, but direction, even through difficulty, leads to fulfillment. You are being taught how to stand when approval is absent, how to move when affirmation is silent, and how to remain faithful when outcomes are uncertain. God is strengthening your inner foundation so external conditions no longer control your peace. When understanding is rooted deeply, storms may shake the surface, but they cannot uproot the core. God is revealing patterns to you. Patterns in people, patterns in circumstances, patterns in your own responses. This is not to make you suspicious, but discerning. Discernment is not judgment, it is awareness. And awareness is protection. When you can see clearly, you can choose wisely. When you choose wisely, you move forward securely. There is also healing in this revelation. Some wounds remained open because you never understood why they existed. But understanding brings closure without bitterness. God does not want you carrying unresolved pain into a future that demands strength. As truth enters your spirit, forgiveness becomes possible. Release becomes natural, and peace becomes stable. You are learning that faith is not blind optimism, it is informed trust. God never asks you to abandon reason, but to submit it to truth. When faith and understanding walk together, confidence is born. That confidence is not arrogance, it is assurance rooted in knowing who guides you and why you move. God is also teaching you restraint. Knowing everything now does not mean speaking everything now. Wisdom discerns timing. Some truths are meant to be lived before they are voiced. God is training you to carry understanding with dignity, patience, and responsibility. What you carry is valuable, and value requires protection. This season is refining your motives. God is showing you the difference between ambition and assignment, between desire and direction. Ambition pushes forward aggressively, but assignment moves forward obediently. God is not asking you to chase outcomes. God is asking you to follow instruction. Outcomes will follow alignment. You may notice that your circle is changing. Conversations that once energized you may now feel shallow. Interest that once excited you may now feel empty. This is not arrogance, it is maturity. God is aligning your environment with your understanding. Growth always demands adjustment, and adjustment always reveals who is willing to grow with you and who is not. God is also awakening courage in you. The courage to say no without guilt, to say yes without fear, and to stand alone without compromise. Courage is not loud, it is steady. It does not seek attention, it seeks obedience. This courage comes from knowing that God sees what you see and understands what you carry. As revelation deepens, your patience will also deepen. You will no longer rush processes you once tried to control. You will trust timing without anxiety. You will move when instructed and wait when necessary. This balance is the mark of wisdom. God is teaching you not just how to move, but when to move. Understand this clearly. God does not reveal everything now so you can look back with regret, but so you can move forward with intention. The past is explained so the future can be shaped. You are not being informed to dwell, you are being equipped to advance. Let this knowledge settle into your decisions. Let it govern your priorities. Let it guide your commitments. God is not distant from your journey. God is intimately involved in every step. And the more you understand, the more aligned you become. And the more aligned you become, the more effectively you will walk in what has been prepared for you. Now let this truth settle deep within you, not as emotion that fades, but as conviction that anchors. You have heard what your spirit has been longing for, and you are responsible for what you now understand. God does not reveal truth to entertain the mind. God reveals truth to transform the life. This moment is a mirror, and it is asking you to look honestly at your choices, your priorities, your obedience, and your courage. Do not rush past this reflection. Let it search you. Let it awaken you. Stand still for a moment and ask yourself who you have been becoming in silence, not who you appear to be, not who others think you are, but who you truly are when no one is watching. God already knows, and God is not afraid of what will be uncovered. Truth does not shoo away from God. Truth draws you closer. When you stop hiding, you start healing. When you stop pretending, you start aligning. This is the hour to release what no longer belongs to you. Old fears, old excuses, old identities shaped by pain instead of purpose. You cannot carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's calling. God is inviting you to lay it down willingly, not out of shame, but out of trust. Trust that what God has prepared for you is greater than what you have been clinging to. Renew your focus. Sharpen your inner hearing. Decide deeply and deliberately that you will no longer live casually in matters that require reverence. God is worthy of more than convenience. God is worthy of obedience that costs, faith that endures, and devotion that remains when feelings fade. This is not about perfection. It is about surrender. Surrender is where strength is born. Let your life become an answer to what you now know. Let your actions reflect your understanding. Let your steps align with truth even when the path feels narrow. Walk with humility, but do not walk timidly. Walk with compassion, but do not walk compromised. God walks with those who choose truth over comfort and obedience over applause. Remember this: when doubt tries to return, you were trusted with revelation because you were ready to carry it. God does not misjudge capacity. You are stronger than you think, wiser than you feel, and more prepared than you realize. What you carry now is not a burden, it is a calling. So rise with intention. Live with awareness. Choose alignment daily, not emotionally, but faithfully. Let your life speak quietly yet powerfully of a heart that knows God, trusts God, and walks in truth without fear. Let this moment mark you, not as the end of a message, but as the beginning of a deeper walk with God.